If you're still renting in the UK because you think buying a house is impossible, what I'm about to show you might actually change your mind. There are cities right now where your monthly mortgage payment would be less than what you're throwing away on rent every month. And no, I'm not talking about some random village in the middle of nowhere. Let me guess. You've been told your whole life that renting is just what you do until you magically save up a fortune. You've probably looked at house prices in London or Manchester and thought there's no way you could ever afford to buy. And honestly, in those cities, you'd be right. But here's what nobody talks about. There are places across the UK where the math completely flips, where buying isn't just possible, it's actually the smarter financial move. And I'm going to show you exactly where these places are, what the actual numbers look like, and why this is happening right now. Now, I spent the last few weeks digging through property data, mortgage calculators, and rental listings to find cities where this is actually true. Not just cheaper by a few pounds, but significantly cheaper. We're talking about places where you could be building equity in your own property instead of paying off someone else's mortgage. And some of these cities might actually surprise you because they're not tiny towns with nothing going on. These are real cities with jobs, amenities, and actual reasons to live there. Before we get into the list, let me explain why this is even possible. For years, rental prices have been climbing faster than house prices in certain areas. Landlords keep pushing rent higher because they can. Meanwhile, mortgage rates, even though they went up recently, are still at a point where monthly payments on a modest home can actually come in lower than rent for a similar property. Add to that the fact that some areas of the UK haven't seen the same property price explosions as London or the Southeast, and you get these pockets where buying makes more sense than renting. It sounds too good to be true, but the numbers don't lie. The other thing people don't realize is that when you rent, that money is just gone. Every month, you hand over a chunk of your paycheck and get nothing back. But when you pay a mortgage, you're actually building equity. You're investing in something that's yours. And in these 10 cities, you can do that for less than what you'd pay a landlord. So if you've been sitting on the fence about buying, or if you thought it was completely out of reach, pay attention, because this could be the information you've been waiting for. All right, let's get into it. First up is Kingston upon Hull, or just Hull as most people call it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hull doesn't exactly have the flashiest reputation. But hear me out. The average rent for a two-bedroom place in Hull is around £950 a month. Meanwhile, if you buy a similar property, your mortgage payment could be closer to £650 a month. That's £300 less every single month. Over a year, that's £3,600 you're saving, and instead of lining a landlord's pockets, you're actually building equity in a property you own. Hull has been overlooked for a long time, but it's actually got a lot going for it. It's a port city with a rich history, and it's been investing heavily in regeneration projects. The city center has seen new developments, there's a decent cultural scene, and it's well connected by road and rail. Plus, the cost of living overall is much lower than in other parts of the UK. So if you're working remotely or you've got a job lined up in the area, Hull is worth a serious look. The property prices are low enough that even first-time buyers with a modest deposit can get on the ladder. And with rent being so high compared to mortgage payments, it just makes sense to buy if you're planning to stay for a few years. Next on the list is Stoke-on-Trent. This is another city that doesn't get much love, but the numbers here are actually wild. Average rent for a two-bedroom home is around £850 a month. But if you buy, you're looking at mortgage payments closer to £600. That's £250 a month you're saving. And again, you're building equity instead of throwing money away. Stoke-on-Trent is famous for its pottery industry, and while manufacturing has declined, the city is working hard to reinvent itself. There are 6 towns that make up Stoke-on-Trent, and each one has its own character. Hanley is the main commercial hub, Burslem has a more artsy vibe, and Newcastle-under-Lyme is a market town with a bit more of a traditional feel. The transport links are solid. You've got the M6 motorway nearby, and the train station connects you to Manchester, Birmingham, and London. Property prices here are some of the lowest in the country, which is why buying is so much cheaper than renting. If you're looking for affordability and don't mind a city that's still finding its feet, Stoke could be perfect. Third is Sunderland. Up in the northeast, Sunderland is another place where the rental market has gotten out of control compared to house prices. You're looking at around £900 a month for rent, but a mortgage on a similar property could be around £670. That's over £200 a month in your pocket, or rather, going toward owning your own place. Sunderland has a strong sense of community and a lot of local pride. It's right on the coast, so if you like being near the sea, that's a bonus. The city has a university which keeps things lively, and there's been investment in the waterfront and city center. The Stadium of Light is there if you're into football, and the surrounding areas like Roker and Seaburn have some nice beaches. It's not the most glamorous city, but it's affordable, and the people are friendly. If you're tired of overpriced city living and want somewhere you can actually afford to buy, Sunderland ticks a lot of boxes. Now, Bradford is interesting because it's part of the wider West Yorkshire area, which includes Leeds. But Bradford itself is way more affordable. Rent for a two-bedroom place averages around £920 a month, but mortgage payments could be as low as £640. That's almost £300 a month cheaper. Bradford has a bad reputation in some circles, but it's actually a diverse, vibrant city with a lot going on. It's got a huge South Asian community, which means incredible food. The curry houses in Bradford are some of the best in the country. There's also a lot of history here, especially related to the textile industry. The city has Victorian architecture, parks, and it's close to the Yorkshire Dales if you like getting out into nature. Plus, Leeds is only a short train ride away, so you get the benefits of a major city nearby without the insane cost of living. Bradford is one of those places that's on the up, and getting in now, while prices are still low, could be a smart move. Fifth on the list is Burnley. This is a smaller town in Lancashire, and the numbers here are honestly some of the best on this entire list. Average rent is around £750 a month, but you could buy a place and pay around £500 a month on a mortgage. That's £250 less, and over time, that adds up to serious money. Burnley is a former mill town, and like a lot of places in the north, it's had to adapt after the decline of industry. But it's a tight-knit community with a lot of local character. It's surrounded by beautiful countryside, with the Forest of Bowland and the Pennines nearby. If you like hiking or just being outdoors, Burnley is a great base. The town itself has everything you need in terms of shops, schools, and amenities, and it's well connected by road and rail. Manchester is about 40 minutes away by car, so if you work there, you could commute and still live somewhere way more affordable. For young families or anyone wanting to get on the property ladder without going broke, Burnley is a solid choice. Another northeast gem, Middlesbrough, has been undervalued for years, but the gap between rent and mortgage payments here is huge. Rent averages around £870 a month, while mortgage payments can be as low as £620. That's £250 less every month. Middlesbrough is an industrial town with a working-class heart, and it's got a lot more going for it than people think. There's a good arts and culture scene, including the Middlesbrough Institute of Modern Art and the Riverside Stadium if you're into football. The town is also a gateway to the North York Moors, which is stunning if you like nature. Transport links are decent, with the A19 and train connections to Newcastle and York. The cost of living is low and property prices reflect that. If you want to own a home and actually have money left over at the end of the month, Middlesbrough should be on your radar. Seventh is Blackpool. Yes, the seaside town famous for its tower and amusement arcades. Rent here is around £890 a month, but buying a place could bring your monthly costs down to around £650. That's £240 saved every month. Now, Blackpool has its issues. It's not the wealthiest town, and parts of it are a bit rough around the edges. But it's also got character, and if you like living by the sea, it's hard to beat. The beach is right there, the nightlife is lively, and there's always something happening, especially in the summer. Blackpool is also much bigger than people realize, with plenty of residential areas that are quiet and family-friendly. The property market here is cheap, which is why buying makes so much more sense than renting. If you can look past the touristy bits and see the potential, Blackpool offers a lifestyle you just can't get in most UK cities for this price. Located in South Yorkshire, Doncaster is another city where renting feels like a rip-off when you compare it to buying. Average rent is around £860 a month, but a mortgage could cost you around £630. That's £230 a month you're saving. Doncaster is a market town with a lot of history, and it's grown into a proper city over the years. It's got good transport links, including a major train station and an international airport. The city center has been regenerated, and there are some nice areas to live, especially on the outskirts. It's close to Sheffield, Leeds, and York, so you're well placed for work and leisure. The property market is affordable, and with rent prices climbing, buying is definitely the smarter option here. If you want a home that's actually yours without breaking the bank, Doncaster is worth considering. Now, Grimsby is a small town on the East Coast, and it's not somewhere that gets a lot of attention, but the numbers here are incredible. Rent averages around £780 a month, while a mortgage could be as low as £550. That's £230 cheaper every month. Grimsby is a fishing town with a long maritime history, and while the industry has changed, the town is still very much alive. It's right on the coast, so you get that seaside vibe, and it's close to some beautiful beaches and nature reserves. The cost of living is low, property is cheap, and the community is strong. If you're looking for somewhere quiet, affordable, and with a bit of character, Grimsby might surprise you. It's not flashy, but it's real, and it's a place where you can actually afford to own a home. Another northeast coastal town, Hartlepool, is the last on our list, and it's a great example of a place where buying beats renting hands down. Rent is around £830 a month, but mortgage payments could be closer to £600. That's £230 saved every month. Hartlepool has a proud history, and it's been working hard to regenerate and attract new residents. The marina area is really nice, with restaurants and bars, and the town has a good mix of old and new. There are beaches, parks, and it's well connected by road and rail. The property market is affordable, and with rent being so high compared to mortgage payments, buying is a no-brainer if you're planning to stay in the area. Hartlepool might not be on everyone's radar, but for people who want to own a home without the financial stress, it's a solid option. So there you have it, 10 cities across the UK where buying a home is genuinely cheaper than renting. And we're not talking about tiny differences. These are real savings, month after month, that add up to thousands of pounds over a year. Plus, you're building equity in something that's actually yours instead of making a landlord richer. If you've been putting off the idea of buying because you thought it was too expensive, these cities prove that it's not only possible, it's actually the smarter financial move. Now, obviously, buying a house isn't as simple as just paying a monthly mortgage. You need a deposit, and you need to factor in things like maintenance, insurance, and other homeowner costs. But even with all that, in these cities, the math still works out better than renting long-term, and if you're working remotely or flexible about where you live, moving to one of these places could be the best decision you make. You get to own your own home, save money every month, and stop feeling like you're stuck in the rental trap forever. The housing market in the UK is wild right now, and in a lot of places, it feels completely out of reach. But these 10 cities show that there are still opportunities out there if you know where to look. So if you're serious about getting on the property ladder, do your research, crunch the numbers, and consider whether one of these places could work for you. It might not be where you imagined yourself living, but owning a home and having financial stability is worth more than living in a trendy city while barely scraping by on rent.